Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, presented by, well, not presented by anybody now. It's us. It's the Ice Guys. It's Sunday, October 29th. Ian Cameron. You can tell we're hungover from a big Saturday in sports, including the NHL. The Ice Guys, Sunday, October 29th. Ian Cameron with you. Alex B. Smith, a little under the weather today, so we'll give him the day off. He'll be back with us tomorrow. This is going to be a very short show. I have to be going someplace in about, I would say, 20 minutes from now, so we're going to skip the recap for Saturday. I do want to point out, great win Anaheim Ducks to start the day. Great job last night as well by the Vegas Golden Knights, obviously bouncing back in their game as well. So lots of good results last night in the NHL, of course. So lots to talk about. Rangers with a shootout win. Ottawa, how about Ottawa with that ravaged blue line? Missing multiple defensemen, including Shabbat, and they go into Pittsburgh and beat the Penguins 5-2, who just shut out Colorado at home the game before that. Go figure with the Pittsburgh Penguins right now. Boston 4-1 win against Detroit. Florida comes back, unfortunately, beats Seattle. Best bet falls after a good start for Seattle, but they couldn't sustain it. The Panthers get a win. Nashville shootout win over Toronto as well, 3-2. Very busy day, of course, it was on Saturday. It was an up and down day for me in terms of sides and totals. And unfortunately, it was not my best day with player props. We didn't hit many of those. Other than Joe Veleno, we really did, again, which is amazing that he cashed in again. But other than that, it was a very, very it was, hey, when you're going to bet those plus price player props and go for the big scores, you're not going to hit them every day. You're not going to hit them every day. And yesterday was definitely, certainly a situation where didn't have those big plus price player prop, goal props popping like we have here the last several days. But that's okay. You're going to have ups and downs with it. Before we get into today's card, we've had an absolutely devastating, tragic incident in a hockey game overseas in England, the EIHL, the Elite Ice Hockey League. I was devastated. I could only imagine the family and friends of Adam Johnson, who actually played in the NHL years ago, was a member in the Pittsburgh Penguins organization. He unfortunately was fatally wounded in an absolutely tragic accident on the ice during a regular season EIHL game in England, and a skate blade of an opponent, just a tragic accident, just ended up flying up in the air, catching him right in the neck, severely, wounding him in the neck area. Apparently it hit his jugular, and that is essentially what ended up being the part of it that just made it impossible for him to survive. It was just absolutely tragic, and it's the thing that I have feared in this sport for years, is that with it being such a violent sport, such a physical sport, such a hard contact sport, things are happening at such a fast rate, and that something like this might eventually happen. And it was just very, very upsetting, but feared for a long time, that this sport has become so fast, and so physical, violent, that something like this might occur. And unfortunately, we have seen it overseas within the EIHL with Adam Johnson. So just unbelievably sad. Just a tragedy. They've shut down league operations. All the games that were scheduled today in that league, rightfully so, have been postponed. The next home game for the team that Adam Johnson played for over in England, which is the Nottingham Panthers, they aren't going to play at least for the next few days. They had, I think, a home game scheduled on Tuesday night. They canceled that out of respect for this tragic passing. And obviously the team itself needs time to mourn and come to grips with this come to terms with this, because I can only imagine what they're going through right now. This is just something that nobody would have expected. And it's just awful. It's awful. And if anything, this incident should maybe get the conversations going in the NHL about, do we look at something like neck guards to protect players in case, because this, Clint Malarchuk had an incident like this. Thankfully, back in the 80s, when Clint Malarchuk had this situation where a skate cut him in that area, quickly there were trainers there that quickly, got on it, try to mitigate the loss of blood. And obviously that's probably what happened here with Adam Johnson. They just couldn't intercept that loss of blood quickly enough by the time he ended up getting to the hospital. Just absolutely awful. I have seen it. I hope nobody plays this, and it's out of respect to Adam and his family. No one should want to see this, but I did, and it's awful. It's horrifying. It's a tragic day. It's a sad day in hockey. It's a sad day in this sport, and I know it's, a pro league outside of the NHL, but it deserves attention. It deserves to be mentioned. And it's just, and I think it should be a call to action for the NHL to look at how we can better protect players, especially from a situation like this. Do we use neck guards? Is, I think, a legit conversation that I think the NHL and the NHL Players Association needs to have, because preventable it was, definitely, if, there's some kind of protection in that area that would be able to, keep that skate from cutting him right in that neck area. So absolutely, really sad day, just an awful day, because the one thing you don't ever want to see is death in a game or in a sport. These are athletes that love playing their respective sports. It would be the same thing if a football player died on a football field, and we almost had it, believe it or not, last year with Damar Hamlin for the Buffalo Bills. But that's the last thing you want to see. There's no player that should ever lose their life playing the sport they love, playing, how they make their money for their career. They go to work to do their job. They don't go to work to, lose their life. And that's why this is just so, it's hard to come to grips with it. It really is. All we can say at this point is all the best to the Nottingham Panthers organization. I know this has got to be an absolutely traumatic, devastating last 24 hours for them, to Adam Johnson's family, friends, all of his teammates, current and former. I mean, just absolutely a tragic day. And rest in peace to Adam Johnson. I don't know how the hell I transitioned from that to talking about NHL. It seems so minute in comparison, but we will attempt to do so. We do have 4 games here on the NHL card on this Sunday, so we will get into it now. We will start with the Colorado Avalanche taking on the Buffalo Sabres. Now, this is a game that is early start time, 1 p.m. Eastern in Buffalo. We've got Colorado minus 170. Road favorites in this game, and the total 6.5 across the board. Colorado looking to bounce back from their first loss of the season on the other night against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Really was shocking to see them. Not so much that they lost that game, but that, they got dominated by the Pittsburgh Penguins in that game. So they are looking to rebound, no question about that. Here today, taking on the Buffalo Sabres. Avalanche have taken money, minus 150 up to minus 170 here in this game. As far as this one goes, there's someone in the chat, I happened to notice it actually just when we were coming on the air, that makes some sense. I think a Colorado and over 5.5 parlay, that actually does make a lot of sense to me. I mean, I do like over 6.5 on its own. I don't trust Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen right now, who's going to be in net for the Buffalo Sabres, and he's the default goalie now for this team. Devin Levi is still out and not ready to return from injury. And now Eric Comrie got injured in the last game for Buffalo against New Jersey. So he is going to be out at least day to day, it looks like right now, although they have placed him on the IR. So it looks like it could be longer than that. But yeah, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen in net for Buffalo against a Colorado team that's looking to bounce back after their sound defeat against Pittsburgh, getting shut out in that game by the Penguins. I would look at over 6.5 on its own. Think that Colorado and over 5.5 parlay, definitely I could see that here in this game as well. Those are 2 good looks. Colorado in regulation as well, maybe a consideration in this one. And look, I know there's going to be some people that subscribe to that theory of the team from the West playing an early start game in the Eastern time zone, but didn't seem to bother Anaheim yesterday, did it? Taking on the Philadelphia Flyers. So definitely, I think this is a spot for Colorado to bounce back. But I think for better value, like I said, I would look at Colorado and over 5.5. I think that's a really good combination. You can get plus 130, at Pinnacle with that bet. I also like over 6.5 on its own, which is at minus 130, minus 135 in this game. And as far as player props go, I mean, you look at the way the lineups work. I mean, when the Avalanche gets shut out, you expect them to score goals, potentially in bunches the next game. That's not a team that's used to getting a goose egg next to them in a game. So I would expect McKinnon and Rantanen to be at the forefront. Again, I still believe that Arturi Lehkonen and Val Nichushkin are value prop players right now for Colorado because they are playing on the top line with Nathan McKinnon. So I like that. And then as far as the Buffalo Sabres, I'm not going to overthink it with Buffalo as far as props go. There are a couple that I'm interested in, though. Casey Middlestat's moving up the lineup. JJ Peterka's starting to heat up. He's now on the second line with Middlestat and Skinner. I think JJ Peterka's a good prop look. Greenway again on the top line as long as he stays there with Tage Thompson. And how about this promotion? Zach Benson, who has been out for 3 of the last 4 games with a lower body injury. He is going to be back in this game, Zach Benson. That's their first round pick from this past year's draft. 18 years old he is. He does have 2 assists. He's playing on the top line. Don Granato's putting him right up to the top line here today with Tage Thompson and with Jordan Greenway. So how about this bump up the lineup for the young kid, the rookie, Zach Benson? So why not? Why not take a shot on some Zach Benson props here, a goal and assist prop here in this game? And I absolutely love because he's on fire right now for Buffalo. He's probably been their best forward the last couple games. Dylan Cousins, he's on a point scoring streak that is now at 6 games, 6 consecutive games with a point. He has 3 goals during that span. So a goal prop and an assist prop with Dylan Cousins, or you can bet the point prop as on its own, whichever you prefer. I prefer splitting it up with the goal and the assist prop. But yeah, I think you have to look at Dylan Cousins in some form right now for the Buffalo Sabres, the way he is playing for them. All right, San Jose and Washington. We've got the San Jose Sharks, Washington rather, is a minus 240 home favorite in this game, and the total currently sitting at 6, shaded to the under. You know what? Washington's won 2 in a row. They are starting to play better hockey. We have to give them some credit for that. And I want to fade San Jose at every reasonable opportunity. So you know what I will do here, and this is not, I'm not going to be betting on Washington very much. I'm not a big fan of this team, but I will give them credit where credit's due. They've beaten 2 teams in a row, New Jersey and Minnesota, after a rough start to the year. This is a winnable game for them against a horrible San Jose Sharks team, it's not even close that they are my worst team in the NHL. It's not even a debate right now with what we've seen from them. So I'm going to go with the same two looks that have been cashing lately. Now these are small bets because I'm not rushing to back this Washington team. I've got my reservations, but they look like the 70s Canadiens, the 80s Oilers. Name any dynasty team you want. That's what the Washington Capitals look like right now, comparison with the San Jose Sharks. That's how bad the Sharks have been. Like, they have been awful in their own end. The goaltending is some of the worst in the NHL from Blackwood and Kakkonen. And right now they can't score goals either. So they've had all kinds of problems right now, the Sharks team. So what I'm going to do here in this game, now small bets here with these two, because it is Washington. This is not like they're playing Carolina and Tampa Bay like the last 2 games, which we know those are better teams than Washington, without a doubt. But San Jose is that bad. I think Washington's trying to gain some momentum. And if you're Washington after 2 wins, you got to be able to, if you want to entertain thoughts of getting back into the playoff mix, and you still have a lot of work to do, you got to win games like this. You've got to beat the worst team by far in the NHL on home ice. It's as simple as that. So going to rock with Washington here, first period puck line, -0.5, plus 132 at Pinnacle. And I'm also going to, I mentioned it on the last time San Jose played Friday against Carolina, and it also cashed the game before that when they played Tampa Bay. Start looking at the teams early in the game against San Jose, because I'm finding that Teams want to jump out to that quick lead against San Jose, and then when they get that lead, they're kind of just protecting the net, playing good defense, not necessarily looking to run it up and score more goals. So that has been the theme lately for teams against the San Jose Sharks. So I'm not sure how many books will have this, but if you can find an alternative team total on Washington, most books are going to have their team total at over 0.5 at like minus 230. If any books provide Washington Capitals team total first period over 1.5, you'll be able to get probably over plus 200 with that. I think it's worth a small shot there, because we have seen this San Jose team giving up 2 Cobb, very early in these games lately. So those would be the looks for me here, would be Washington first period puck line, and also Washington, if you can find it, Washington over 1.5 first period team total. And again, you're going to get a really nice plus price with that. Props would probably be Washington props for me, because obviously I don't really trust San Jose to do much offensively right now. I do want to point out Dylan Strome's on a roll right now for Washington. He's really gotten it going the last few games. His props are worth a look. Tom Wilson was moved up to the top line against Minnesota on Friday night. He ended up scoring a goal, and he now has points in 3 straight games. So maybe Tom Wilson props as well, worth a look here for the Washington Capitals tonight. All right, Minnesota, New Jersey. We've got New Jersey minus 165, minus 170 home favorite, 6.5 being the total in this game. Back to the well with the over. I don't know how you stop at this point. This Devils team just can't play games that don't get up and down the ice and don't have a bunch of goals. We've just seen this every single time out with New Jersey. Every game for them has gone over the total this year. 7 games for New Jersey, 7 overs. 4-3, 4-3, 4-3, 5-4, 5-2, 6-4, 5-4. So every single New Jersey Devils game this year has gotten to at least 7 goals. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel here. This is a New Jersey team that is definitely struggling. And what's funny, Rich H., you mentioned, yes, Nico Hischier out. They'll miss his offense. They'll miss his defense just as much, if not more. He's one of the better defensive forwards, as we know, in the NHL. He probably will be nominated for the Frank Selke Award this year for defensive forwards. So while they'll miss his offense, they'll miss his ability defensively as well, if not more, for this New Jersey Devils team. So, you're already struggling to keep the puck out. You've scored a lot of goals, but you've been giving up goals as well. And now you're without one of your best two-way and one of your best defensive forwards in Hischier. Yeah, that's definitely not what you want for a struggling defensive team. We do have some lineup shifting going on for Lindy Ruff's crew in this game. Dawson Mercer hasn't gotten going. I think of all the things that's disappointing about New Jersey so far, it's that he hasn't had a point yet in these 7 games. It's shocking for a guy that was absolutely terrific, dynamite, in fact, for the New Jersey Devils down the stretch of last season. Doesn't have a point yet for them this year, but he's moved up to the second line for this game today with the injury to Hischier. He'll center the second line with Jesper Bratt and Tyler Toffoli. Does that get him going? I think if you're going to buy low on Mercer, today's not a bad day to do it. Normally, I'm a proponent of let's wait to see him score. Let's wait to see him get a point before we bet his player props. But I would maybe look at some value with Mercer here now that he's centering the second line tonight for the New Jersey Devils. Palat, Hughes, and Meyer, your top line. Palat's moving up, so maybe there's some value with Palat now that he's on the top line. As far as Minnesota goes, they actually played a better defensive game finally against Washington, but couldn't get the offense in that one as they lose 3-2 to the Capitals. They're still waiting for Kaprizov to really hit his stride. He's only got 2 goals this season, no points in 3 of the last 4 games. So hasn't been the best start for him by any stretch of the imagination for Kaprizov. I keep saying it. I mean, he has been the one player in their bottom 6 that's been scoring, and I'll be back to the well with it. Marco Rossi again for the Minnesota Wild. Games or points in 3 straight games, goals in 2 of the last 3 games. And you can get this player at around always plus 600, plus 700. Just an absolutely spectacular price for Marco Rossi. So of all the player props on the board for Minnesota in this game, there's no question Marco Rossi among my favorites for the Wild here in this game, who's producing at a very solid clip so far, considering he's just playing on the third line for the Minnesota Wild. So those are some props I would look at, but I also like this game, obviously, Over 6.5 between the Wild and the Devils. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. It is 7 straight overs to begin the season here for this New Jersey Devils team. And just quickly on the goaltending situation here for this game, I'm going to just check to see who's going to. It's not that it matters really either way. Vanacek and Schmidt have both been mediocre this year in net for the Devils. Philip Gustafsson is projected for Minnesota, but not confirmed. Alexander Georgiev, by the way, has just been confirmed in net for the Colorado Avalanche. Oh, another thing I forgot to mention about that Buffalo game, Connor Clifton, that's a huge loss on the blue line. One of their sturdier defensemen in his own end, and he's now out serving that suspension for the hit on Hischier from the Buffalo, New Jersey game the other night. And Blackwood and Kemper are your goalies in the San Jose, Washington game. So over 6.5, and like I said, those props I mentioned, I'm definitely going to look at. Man, there's a lot of people in the chat today really, really pissed off with the Pittsburgh Penguins. I can't blame you. Pittsburgh, how do you do that? How do you beat Colorado and look so solid, so sound, and come back and play that way against Ottawa without multiple starting defensemen last night? And Jari, again, I said it too yesterday. I don't trust Jari a lot of times after a really good start. And he did it again. He was less than inspiring last night for Pittsburgh after that great game against Colorado. So, yeah, it's hard to figure that Pittsburgh team. The inconsistencies are absolutely there right now for them. All right, final game of this Sunday card, and this is, I guess, the most anticipated game of the day. It's the outdoor game, the Heritage Classic, Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton, Battle of Alberta, which, normally we're excited about the Battle of Alberta, and I guess we are. But certainly the form of these two teams is dreadful right now. Someone's got to win tonight. We've got the Edmonton Oilers minus 155 home favorites, 6.5 the total in this game. I ain't laying minus 155 with Edmonton. No way. I'm not giddy about back in Calgary either. But there's just no way I'm going to lay this price with Edmonton. And I know Connor McDavid, credit to him. He's back earlier than expected from this upper body injury. In fact, he participated in full practice at Commonwealth Stadium on Saturday. Now, Jay Woodcroft wouldn't say for sure he'll be in the lineup, but he looked fine. He didn't look like he was, favoring anything injury-wise. He looked like he could make all the, movements he can normally. So I would say he's going to play. Connor McDavid, is going to want to be in this game, and I don't think Jay Woodcroft is going to end up denying him the chance to play here in this game. So I look at this matchup here, and I don't trust either team right now. I really don't. I mean, I'm not laying $1.55 with Edmonton, and the price has gone up because people expect Connor McDavid to be playing in this game, but they've had issues. They're not getting depth scoring. I mean, they've gotten nothing from their bottom six. What on earth have they gotten from Derek Ryan, Matthias Janmark, Adam Ernie, Dylan Holloway, Ryan McLeod? Connor Brown's been the disappointment to me. I thought for sure Connor Brown healthy, Connor Brown back playing with his junior teammate, Connor McDavid would get hit, would be great for him, great for the team. He doesn't have a point this year for the Edmonton Oilers in their first 7 games. So, now they didn't have to, pay a ransom to get Connor Brown, but I definitely expected more from Connor Brown in terms of production than what we've seen so far. I do want to mention a couple of key points about lineup changes. We've got some shifting going on. We've got Kane, Nugent Hopkins, and Hyman on the second line. But more importantly, if McDavid comes back, it's looking like he might be put with Leon Draisaitl together on the top line. And their right wing partner on that top line might be Warren Foegele. So there's your value right there. And we've talked about Warren Foegele. Warren Fogel's been one of those players that, look at the last 3 games for Edmonton. He had that 2-goal game against Minnesota. He has 10 shots on goal in the last 3 games combined as well for the Edmonton Oilers. So he's actually one of the forwards that's deserving of this promotion right now. Warren Foegele has been one of Edmonton's better forwards lately. So we'll see how that goes as far as him in this game today. It looks like as far as goaltending, we have no confirmations, just projections that we will see Jacob Markstrom for Calgary, Stuart Skinner for the Edmonton Oilers. We know Edmonton still without Rasmus Andersson on the blue line, and Adam Ruzicka missed the last game against St. Louis, and he's questionable with that shoulder injury that kept him out of that game. So Adam Ruzicka, who we have mentioned as a player that's got value with his props, Might miss his second straight game here for the Calgary Flames. Alex, by the way, who's not on this show today, he did want me to send along to everybody that he's going to have some live wagering looks in the Colorado-Buffalo game and a couple of other games today. But his only official play, Alex, on the card today, pregame bet on this 4-game slate today is this game, and it's the draw at plus 350. And I like it too. I'm betting that as well. I don't trust Edmonton laying minus 155. Even with Connor McDavid likely to return and play, I don't really trust Calgary. They were absolutely, to win either. But what I do expect is I expect both teams to be desperate, both teams to have a sense of urgency. I actually think this could be a fun game to watch because you got two angry teams, two pissed off teams, two frustrated teams, two desperate teams. The sense of urgency should be high. This is a rivalry game. You could see this could be one of the more physical and one of the more intense outdoor games we've seen in a long time, just based on the situation. Two rival teams, Battle of Alberta, two teams that are desperate to get back in the win column. So I'm going to go with that draw as well. I think that's the best look. I mean, I don't trust either team to separate from the other. I think it's going to be a tightly contested game. Totals wise, I'll say this about the total. If you're going to bet under solely because you're worried about the ice conditions, it's cold as hell out there in Alberta, like for late October. I mean, to the point where the ice conditions won't be an issue, it looks like. It's going to be really solid for late October. I mean, it's been cold all week out there in Alberta. Light wind. So I think the weather actually should be pretty good for an outdoor game. The ice should hold up. There's not going to be much wind. So it's actually, I think, going to be a solid weather night for this game here between the Flames and the Oilers. I like that draw, though. I think it's definitely worth a look here in this game between the Flames and the Oilers. And you look at last year's, you actually go back to, last year's 3 meetings. They were all 1-goal games. Now, none of them went to overtime, but they were that close to going to overtime. There was a 4-3 win for Calgary, a 3-2 win for Edmonton, and a 2-1 win for Edmonton in the 3 meetings last year. So I think this is a good look. Taking a shot with the draw. Again, you can get upwards of plus 350 with Flames Oilers draw. And like I say, for player props here in this game, Warren Foegele is the clear value look, playing on the top line for Edmonton tonight. And as far as on the Calgary side of the equation, with Ruzicka banged up, Dylan Dubé's moved up to the top line, it looks like. So he's the one that's probably a little undervalued right now as far as player props go on the Calgary Flames side. So keep an eye on that. I also want to point out Blake Coleman a little bit. He's now up to the second line for Calgary, playing with Backlund and Mangiapane. And Blake Coleman, production-wise, 3 points in the last 5 games, and he has a couple of goals in those games as well. So I think if you're looking at value, there's some with a value based on moving up the lineup for Dubé and for Coleman with Calgary and for Warren Foegele with Edmonton. All right, good stuff. That is the Sunday card. Abbreviated show today because I got somewhere to be in the next 10 or 15 minutes. Again, sign up for the Ice Guys family plan, $9.99 US per month, our daily betting card, player props, and we're going to have our bonus betcast in the month of November there as well. All that and more. The Ice Guys family plan, $9.99 US per month. All right, bargain bin special of the night for me in the NHL. Let's go back to that outdoor game, shall we? I don't love the side in this game or the total for that matter, 6.5. I mean, it's to me, I'd lean under, but I don't love unders. And as you know, I don't love this total enough either way. But I do like a few props in this Calgary Edmonton game. We're going to go to Warren Foegele, who you can find at plus 480 at FanDuel to find the back of the net tonight for the Edmonton Oilers. Look, as of right now, he's going to be probably on the top line. And if McDavid plays and returns from injury, then Warren Foegele is going to be playing with the 2 best players on the team and 2 of the best players in the world in Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid. You talk about an absolutely bargain price for their likely line mate, Warren Foegele, who's actually, been an offensive. He's been noticeable. And again, he had the 2-goal game against Minnesota earlier this week. So that's what we're rocking with. Let's go to that Heritage Classic outdoor game tonight, and let's take Warren Foegele for the Edmonton Oilers, plus 480 to score a goal. That's my bargain bin special of the night for this Sunday card. All right, best bet to wrap up the show. Let's go to that Minnesota, New Jersey, over 6.5 minus 125. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. 7-0 to the over for New Jersey games. We're riding that streak until it crashes. Wild Devils, over 6.5 minus 125 for my best bet for this Sunday card. That'll wrap up this edition of the Ice Guys. Thanks to everyone for joining us. Hit the like button on the way out. Reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, and Saturday, Sunday as well at noon Eastern. Tomorrow's show, 3 p.m. Eastern, not 2 p.m. Eastern, because I have a college football show before it, so it pushes this show back to 3, but we will be on the air tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you join us then for that. And a reminder, if you cannot watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms: Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. Yeah, someone's asking where I'm headed. Yeah, just a friend of mine's having a viewing party for the NFL games and for the hockey tonight, so that's where I'll be. Lots of pizza, lots of wings, lots of beer, and the gut getting even bigger. But it's fun. What can I say? Good stuff, everyone in the chat. We appreciate it very much. I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Sunday. Enjoy the games, and good luck. We will talk to you again tomorrow on Monday for another edition of the Ice Guys.